Hello, Miss Foster. Can you hear us?
Hello. Can you guys hear me?
Yes, we can. Thank you. Hello.
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 We all set? Yes. Good morning, everyone. I hope you had a wonderful Thanksgiving break. Before we get started, just wanted to give a quick thank you to the board staff for a wonderful year so far and all of the hard work that they've put in. And a huge thank you to my fellow board members for just everything. It's been really fun. We've had a good time. And you are all very supportive. So thank you so much. And most importantly, to our charters and our portfolio. You guys are the reasons we're here. You're doing what we need for the kids, and we are so, so proud of our portfolio. So thank you all very much for being here. And with that, we are going to go ahead and get started. We'll start with the pledge, followed by a moment of silence. So if everybody would please rise. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you all. All right. Can we get a roll call, Ashley, please?
President Montier,
Present.
Vice President Close,
Here.
Superintendent Designee Miller, here. Miss Barr,
Here.
Dr. Crockett,
Here.
Miss Foster,
Here.
Miss Jones, Mr. Ruiz,
Here.
Mr. Snyder,
Here.
Mr. Stratton,
Here.
Mr. Swanson.
Here.
You have a quorum.
Wonderful. All right, just a couple housekeeping items before we get started. For board members that are in person, there are microphones directly in front of you. When they are red, the microphone is not live. Please click on the mic when you want to talk. The mic will turn green, then you can speak. Once you are done speaking, please push the mic again so that it turns red. For board members participating via Zoom, please stay on mute. If you would like to speak, please push the hand icon to indicate you would like to speak. This will help me to know that you have something to say, and I will make sure you have an opportunity. For charters or applicants on the agenda that are participating via Zoom, please stay muted until your item is called. Once your item is called, board staff will introduce the item and then I will call on you to address the board. At that time, you may unmute yourselves. For charters or applicants on the agenda participating in person, once your item is called, board staff will provide a brief introduction and answer any questions board members may have for staff. Then I will request that the representatives for the charter come up to the podium to address the board. Just a friendly reminder, when the mic is red, it's off. When it's green, it's on. If you forget, we'll let you know. Don't worry about it, okay? All right. And with that, we are moving on to superintendent's report. Miss Miller.
Good morning.
Good
Thank you,
morning.
President. This month, the superintendent, along with our president, shares a message of gratitude to the Arizona Charter School community and all those that work so hard on behalf of our students and also on behalf of our schools. It truly takes a village. Always at the forefront of these efforts is a commitment to academic excellence and progress for all of our learners. On November 19th, the department recognized 3 local charter schools for exemplary academic achievement, posting proficiency rates consistently 20 to 40% above the state averages in math and language arts. Congratulations to American Leadership Academy Gilbert South, Candeo Schools Peoria, and my personal favorite, Challenge Charter School in Glendale. Horn said, quote, "These schools are proving that a commitment to making sure every instructional minute is used wisely gets outstanding results for students," end quote. Proud to be in such good company. Thank you. That concludes the superintendent's report.
Well, congratulations. Next on the agenda, Executive Director's Report. Ashley?
Good morning, President Monteith, Vice President Close, Superintendent Designee Miller, and members. I'd like to provide you with an update on the contract approvals I've approved under my authority and the school visits completed since our meeting in November. I have approved 25 amendments, and these amendments are more technical in nature and involve updates to charter holder contracts, such as changes to instructional days and school governance. And then throughout the month of November, board staff has completed 6 interval reviews, and there were 9 on-site visits completed, which are standard pop-in visits and also include specialized accountability visits. Moving on to board legal actions, I wanted to give you an update on the fact that the board issued a notice of intent to revoke the charter of American Virtual Academy on March 4th, 2025, due to a failure to meet academic performance expectations. The hearing for that issue is set before the Office of Administrative Hearings for April 14th through April 17th for 4 consecutive days as needed. And President Monteith and members, that is all I have to report.
Thank you so much. And we have a special presentation from Alyssa with the Student Advisory Council update.
Thank you, President Montier, Vice President Close, Superintendent Designee Miller, and board members. It's my pleasure to provide you with a quick update on our Student Advisory Council and the happenings with that. So the Student Advisory Council continues to serve as a meaningful avenue for gathering authentic feedback directly from Arizona's charter school students. So last year was the inaugural year for the council, and it was a year of building. Students conceptualized and created our community newsletter, which is intended to provide the charter school community with useful resources and interviews from the charter school community members. In addition, the Student Advisory Council has provided feedback to strengthen key public-facing website pages, and they offer valuable insights that have informed our projects with a direct impact on students and families, such as shaping recruitment for future Student Advisory Council cohorts, creating our Scholar Spotlight to highlight outstanding students who are within our portfolio, as well as shaping a lot of our social media content. Now, in its second year of implementation, the Student Advisory Council is already on its way to delivering meaningful results with a dedicated group of 5 students this year, which is an increase from that we see from last year, who meet twice a month. Their current work includes assisting with our newsletter content as well as stakeholder interviews and partnering with the State Board of Education Student Advisory Panel to host a student convening, which will be taking place in February 2026. The virtual convening will be open to all high school students across the state of Arizona. Students will work alongside staff to support planning, marketing, and coordination of the event leading up to the convening. We are also preparing for recruitment for the 26-27 school year, so it's already time to start thinking about that. An interest form is now available on our website for students, school leaders, or staff who wish to recommend prospective students. Finally, we want to extend an invitation to the board members. If you would like the opportunity to speak with the Student Advisory Council during an upcoming meeting, we would be happy to arrange that for you. Last year, we had board member Foster join a meeting. And both her and the students found it to be a really meaningful exchange. Students also interviewed President Montier for our very first issue of the community newsletter, and they found it to be an enlightening conversation based on President Montier's experiences as a charter school operator. This will be a really good opportunity to gain authentic insights about what's truly important to one of our largest stakeholders, our students, to better inform your decision-making as a board member. Please let us know if you're interested in participating, and we can absolutely arrange that for you. As we move forward with our Student Advisory Council initiative, it's my hope that we'll continue gathering meaningful feedback from these students and help them gain the pertinent skills from their experiences and project work on the council that will help prepare them for life beyond high school. Thank you.
Thank you so much. And that really was a cool experience. The students were super well prepared, and it was a lot of fun. It was even virtual, which I don't love, but very cool. Thank you so much. All right, on to agenda item G, call to the public. There were 2 written public comments received that have been placed on the posted agenda for today's meeting. I'm going to need some help with this, pronouncing this. Hans, if you can. One for item J2.
Take your best shot.
Nope. No, I'm going to have you tag in here and tell me how to do this.
Akmel Autumn. Close.
Akmel Autumn. Did I get it right?
pretty good.
Okay, close enough. And consideration for the late audit submissions. The second written public has to do with the request to speak we received. And we have one request to speak. Is Rodrigo with us on? Yeah, I know there was a hard time last meeting. We had some technical difficulties. So we do have one person that has requested to speak, Rodrigo Gutierrez from the U of A Center for Recruitment and Retention of Mathematics Teachers. He's participating virtually. So Rodrigo, if you want to unmute yourself and join, we would love to hear from you.
Good morning. Can everybody hear me? Wonderful. Yeah, sorry about the tech issues last month, but thank you, President Montier and school board members, for welcoming me. I am Dr. Rodrigo Gutierrez from the University of Arizona Center for Recruitment and Retention of Mathematics Teachers, known as the CRR. I've known Principal Montier now for about 9 years, so it's great to see you again. And I'm here to just share about our center and to offer our services to the larger charter population of Arizona. So our center is an outreach center for the university, meaning that instead of focusing on university students, we are 100% focused on supporting math teaching and learning across the state from pre-K through community college. So our bread and butter is working with K-12 teachers and schools and students in the community to offer a range of programs and services. We've been doing this for over 25 years and have truly become the state's premier provider for mathematics professional development in partnership with the Arizona Department of Education. And I wanted to share today because a couple big things have changed recently. We had been supported by ADE for many years now, but the changes in federal and state funding priorities have meant that the center has had to go back to a partnership model, meaning that we partner with charter networks, school districts, charter and private schools individually to pay a small fee each year, and then we pool together all those funds to offer our services always for free to teachers. So that is the key way that we function, is teachers never pay for anything that we do. So let me get to what we do. Our bread and butter is on Saturdays, we offer 4-hour-long professional development workshops that happen in the mornings and the afternoons and almost every single Saturday of the school year, ranging across the entire pre-K-12 spectrum, content areas, pedagogy, conversations that are important for moving math teaching and learning forward. And it should be noted that this is not the university telling teachers what they should do. This is all co-designed and co-facilitated with practicing teachers and teacher leaders in our programs. So they're wrestling with ideas in their classroom, they're experimenting with ideas in their classroom, and they're engaging colleagues in professional conversations. Everything we do is also hybrid. So there are people who come together in person at our workshops, but there's also people across the state joining virtually by Zoom. And we're also building out satellite locations around the state that create a geographic location for teachers to come together, build community in their region, and join virtually to the conversation that's happening statewide. So those are really important. All of those workshops happen again on Saturdays. And then we also host the state's largest mathematics education event, which is our conference in January, and it's called MEAD, Mathematics Educator Appreciation Day. And the focus there is the word appreciation. It's not just a day of high quality professional development, but we want one day a year where math teachers feel some love. They feel appreciated, they feel recognized, and we shower them with hundreds of gifts. We have a lovely keynote luncheon with a nationally recognized speaker. Lots of public officials come to share their words of gratitude. Other public officials provide video messages, again, to show their appreciation for teachers. So it really is a wonderful, unique day with thousands of teachers that engage every January. So everyone is always invited to that. And so those are some of the important, really key professional development. But we also have teacher leadership development programs so that we are building capacity throughout the state for teachers to engage in conversations at their sites, within their networks, within their districts. They're engaging their colleagues in their location, and we are really moving the field together, all of us together rather than in individual locations like in Tucson. We also offer free tutoring 7 days a week throughout the entire school year by Zoom. So that is one important service we've been providing for a long time through an AmeriCorps program. So it is free for any child in the state of Arizona to jump on Zoom any weekday in the afternoon or during the day on Saturdays and Sundays to get free tutoring from our trained tutor mentors that are engaged in public service through our efforts. We also offer a free intervention program that was validated by the Arizona Department of Education to address a lot of the learning loss issues that came out of COVID and the pandemic. So K-8 standards being addressed with heavy hands-on manipulative use. We also offer once or twice a week Zoom-based manipulative training sessions for teachers to get used to using manipulatives in their math instruction. We offer support for AP students with a practice AP exam. Again, everything we do is hybrid so any child in the state can engage. And we noticed that in the second half of our existence over the last 10 years, now the majority of our partners are charter and private schools, really seeing the value of the professional development services that we offer, not being things that they necessarily have the internal capacity to offer or the size with which to have opportunities for teachers to engage in teacher leadership. So we have become an active partner with a lot of charter and private schools throughout the state. So I wanted to just communicate and tease some of the things that we do and we offer. I shared a lot of documents with you. I don't want to take much more time, but I did want to invite the spreading of the word about all of these services, which will be free for the rest of the year to any teacher and any child in the state of Arizona. But moving forward next year, we will return to that partner model. So we need charter schools and charter networks to engage us in partnership. And the word partner is very important here. There's a lot of back and forth. What are the needs that you're seeing? How can we support the work that's happening in your school sites? And how can we work with your teachers to advance math education? So I invite you to please communicate with us, engage with us, and at the very least, come to MEAD. It is a special day in January. It is so important. Bring teachers along. And when I say math teachers, that includes special educators, interventionists, long-term subs, administrators, anybody who's responsible for working with math education at your site. So I've tried to talk fast to take as little time as possible, but you have lots of documents that you can see that I've shared digitally and flyers. And again, spread the word, all free for the rest of the year, and engage me as an administrator to see how we can continue the partnership moving forward. Thank you for your time.
Thank you so much. And I can speak from personal experience. The MEAD conference is amazing. And I have had probably 6 or 7 teachers throughout the years go through participate in Saturday programs and teacher mentor programs. So the CRR does amazing work. So thank you so much. I'm glad you were able to be here. You weren't the only one with technical difficulties last month. So we're glad you were able to join us this month.
Thank you. And you can't get away with saying 6-7 without acknowledging that.
I try.
Thank you all.
See you later. All right, moving on to item H, consent agenda. Do we have a motion?
I'll make the motion.
All right.
I move to approve the consent agenda as presented.
We have a motion. Do we have a second?
I'll second.
Wonderful. Can we get a roll call, please?
Vice President Close,
Aye.
Superintendent Designee Miller,
Aye.
Ms. Barr,
Aye.
Dr. Crockett,
Aye.
Ms. Foster,
Aye.
Mr. Ruiz,
Aye.
Mr. Snyder,
Aye.
Mr. Stratton,
Aye.
Mr. Swanson,
Aye.
President Monteith.
Aye.
Motion passes.
Wonderful. All right, moving on to agenda item I, charter amendments, CASA Academy, presentation by Rachel.
Good morning, President Monteith, Vice President Close, and Superintendent Designee Miller. Your monthly reminder, general information regarding amendments. Today, you will be considering some additional amendments on the regular agenda. Each of these amendments have been reviewed by board staff and have been deemed to be substantively complete. They have been placed on the regular agenda because they do not meet the staff recommendation criteria or the amendments do not have staff recommendation criteria. If the amendment has recommendation criteria, the reasons each charter holder does not meet that criteria are outlined in the executive summary for each individual amendment being considered. First up, we have CASA Academy, which has submitted a new school amendment request to add CASA Academy number 2 to its charter. The new school would be located in Phoenix, serve students in grades K through 8, and open in fiscal year 2028. In conjunction with the new school amendment request, the charter has requested to increase its enrollment cap from 528 to 924 to accommodate the students who would be served at the new school. I'm available for questions should you have any.
Board members, any questions for Rachel? Doesn't look like it. All right. Do we have a representative from the charter? Come on up.
President Monteith, Vice President Close, Superintendent Designee Miller, and members of the board. My name is Tacey Clayton-Cundy. I'm the co-founder and CEO of CASA Academy, and I'm joined today with Liliana Villasenor behind me, who is our Director of Students and Operations and a founding team member. We are here today to request approval to add a new charter school to our contract so that we can expand our impact within our community. At CASA Academy, we transform lives. We serve students who face incredible barriers. Many of our students don't have enough food to eat at home. They have significant trauma in their lives, and some are even homeless. CASA to them is their safe space and their second home. We intentionally focus on serving the most underserved students within our community. 98% of our students are on FRL, 77% are English language learners, and 97% are students of color. Looking at the executive summary, you can see that our FRL and ELL percentages on average are at rates of between 20 to 47% higher on average than nearby schools, both at our current location and at our new proposed location. I want to highlight our character program because it truly sets us apart. Character is embedded into everything that we do at CASA Academy, from our academics to our school-wide behavior system. We spend time every single day where our school leaders and teachers focus intentionally on teaching character to our scholars. We teach them to be authentically good people through our set of 6 core values. We teach them to believe in themselves, to persevere through challenges, and to believe in the power of yet. If we don't know how to do it now, we just don't know how to do it yet. When students step onto our campus, they are entering a place where they feel safe, respected, and valued. Character might be unquantifiable, but to us, the impact is profound. We see it firsthand, we experience it every day with our students, and it drives us to do better for our students. I want to touch on our academics because that is the area where we don't meet the staff recommendation. Academically, CASA is a B-rated school, which by ADE is considered highly performing. We are a high growth school and we earned over 44 out of the 50 points for growth in this past year. Our focus right now is on improving and increasing our proficiency, and our internal goal this year is to increase proficiency by 12%. We have done significant work as a leadership team over the past several years to ensure that we are reaching those outcomes for our students. And there are 4 key pieces that we've put in place in the last 2 years. 1, intensive strategic planning to hone in on what is most important right now so we can use that information to drive student growth. 2, we've added a new math interventionist and math intervention program specifically in our middle school in this current school year, and that is based directly off of our data from this previous year. We have started new unit launch meetings to ensure that our teachers have the support and the knowledge prior to starting a unit with their scholars so that they are fully prepared and equipped to teach that content. And then finally, a redesigned weekly data meeting inspired by the Uncommon Schools Network, which ensures that our teachers have a strong pulse on their data at all times. These steps give us confidence that our continued trajectory towards even stronger student outcomes will be possible. And then finally, I'd like to touch on enrollment. It's important to highlight that right now, in a time when many schools in Arizona are facing declining enrollment, this has always been an area of strength for CASA, and we continue to grow our enrollment and flourish. This is due to the intentional and caring relationships that we build with our community. 4 out of the 9 members of our recruitment team are from our community. So they know the community incredibly well, and we form very close bonds and caring relationships with our families. Today, we respectfully request approval to open CASA Academy number 2 so that we can expand our mission of high expectations, structure, character, and love. Liliana and I are here to answer any questions the board may have.
Thank you so much. Board members, any questions? Yeah.
Thank you for being here today. If I have a concern, it's regarding the areas that you didn't meet staff recommendation on, and the fact that there's in the surrounding areas a number of A and B rated schools. So I guess the question I really want to hear you talk a little bit more, maybe delve a little bit more into, is how those differentiating factors for CASA are at play here and should be considered in as compared to what the kids in your community might have offered at those other A and B rated schools within 2 miles.
So I know I spoke about our character program, and that is, we believe, equally important to academics. But that said, we have a very focused leadership team, and we are not satisfied with our current levels of academic proficiency. So we are currently very focused on making sure that we're continuing to improve those results for our students and for our families. Does that address the question?
I think more my question is what opportunities are you providing them at CASA that they may not be able to get at the other A and B rated schools within 2 miles of your school?
So part of our academic program includes a high level of small group instruction. So I would say that that is also something that sets us apart. We are constantly analyzing our data, making sure that we know where each scholar is, and then grouping our students accordingly, making sure that they're receiving guided reading. And then also in each lesson, whether it be math, reading comprehension, or another content area, we're also pulling them and ensuring that we are closing those gaps for them. So I know that that is one thing that does set us apart from many other schools in the area, as in addition to the character program.
Thank you.
And you touched on, I wrote down math RTI for my notes, but you touched on math intervention. Do you also, how are you addressing ELA as well?
We do also have 3 reading interventionists who work across different grade levels at our school. I touched on the math because that's a new piece that we added in this current year based on our data from last year. I'm really wanting to make that a focus for our middle schoolers to make sure that we're closing those gaps for them.
And speaking of gaps, why do you think it is that we're having these gaps? And you're talking about how you're addressing it, but I think it's important to know the why in order to be able to address, right? So can you speak to that a little bit?
Yes. So why do the gaps exist? I think a part of it comes from while we do have many families who have stayed with us over the years, we do have between 10 to 15% turnover every year, which is pretty standard working in the low income underserved community. So I would say that that is a key indicator. Regarding staffing, we do also tend to get a lot of first year teachers. And so there's a lot of learning and knowledge that goes into the training, the professional development that we're providing for our staff prior to them having the full understanding that they need to start really moving the needle in terms of data. What we tend to see is that for our many teachers who have returned year over year is that they are getting very strong results in their classroom. But we know that sometimes for those newer teachers, it takes more training and support. And to address that, we do provide 3 full weeks of professional development in the summer. And then we also have professional development days every Thursday in the afternoons when we have our half-day early release. So I would agree with you. Knowing the why is very important, and we have identified some of those key areas and are working to make sure we're addressing those.
Good morning. Thank you so much for being here. I really enjoyed hearing a little bit more about your school and your passion and what you've accomplished thus far and why you want to work with these kids. I just wanted to drill down a little bit into your. I love that you have so many exact numbers too. It's obvious that you're using the data right to drive the decision making. But I was wondering if you could speak to specifically that 12% goal. Is it just overall proficiency? And then you mentioned a weekly data review, and I'm just wondering what progress monitoring tools you're using for those with such frequent data reviews.
Can you remind me of the first part of the question?
Totally. Sorry. I'll ask them separate. So the 12% goal, is that your overall proficiency, a specific subject? What makes up that 12% goal?
So we spend a lot of time as a leadership over the summer really digging into our static file, making sure that we understand where every student is and what their needs are, what their areas for growth are. And so that 12% goal, based on looking at overarchingly across our school, it is our school-wide goal. There were some grade levels where we were only a couple percentage points away from being at the state average. For example, 7th grade ELA, we were 2 points below the state average this year. But then we had other grade levels that had much more room to improve to make sure that we're performing at or above the state level. So as we analyze that data, 12% was the number that if we are able to hit that number this year and then continue that momentum, we actually look at this as a 3-year plan for us. So not just this year, but in the next 3 years. If we're able to hit 12% this year and then continue that growth the following year, and the following year, by then every single grade level and content area would be performing at or above the state average. So that's where that 12% number came from through a very diligent review.
Yeah, thank you for expanding on that. Sure. And then the second part was, what are you using for the weekly? Like, do you have a tool, NWA, a Cadence? What are you using to track your moment-to-moment data?
For progress monitoring.
Yeah.
So we use a Cadence across the board for K-8, and then we also do use Galileo currently. Those are the two, I would say, benchmark assessments that we're using. But in addition to that, with a Cadence, you can also do progress monitoring. So we're able to do that and get a better gauge on where our scholars are, how they're performing related to reading on a more regular basis. We use those in conjunction with our regular unit assessments, which we give at the end of every unit. And then we do meet with teachers to analyze that data at the conclusion of units. Related to the new format of weekly data meetings that we've just started to implement, those are more on the front end. So we're meeting with teachers in advance and we're collecting data based off of exit tickets in advance of that end of unit assessment so that we have the opportunity to impact the results prior to them taking that end of unit assessment, and then using that information to really support our teachers with the content knowledge that they need so that they can help scholars to improve in those areas.
Thank you so much.
Do we have any other questions from
President Monteith? Yes. Hi, good morning. Thank you for being here and all the information. Just looking at the data, can you tell me why the FAE scores appear to be lower for 3-year FAE than 1-year FAE? 1-year students versus 3-year?
So I think for some of them, so I will say that we have had more struggles in middle school over the last couple of years. And I think that that does play into the FAE scores. And I would say that that is primarily due to teacher turnover over these last couple of years related to middle school. And that impacts the FAE for those students who have been with us for longer.
And so if it's issue of teacher turnover, how do you expand and rectify that issue at the same time and keep your face course?
Sure. Yeah, so that obviously that is definitely part of the goal with the push for the increase in proficiency. And I think I'll tell you a few things that we have done. We have hired a talent and student recruitment associate who is specifically focused on talent, who is supporting us with bringing in new teachers. And I think I made it sound worse than it is, in that it's we had one teacher turnover last year in middle school, but I think that on a school our size that can have an impact. But that said, related to the talent person, we are constantly reaching out, working with universities, doing a variety of different activities to build a network within the community related to hiring, and then making sure that we are constantly interviewing so that we do have a strong pipeline of candidates. And a big part of the growth, obviously, with that will be making sure that we have ample time and resources to continue making sure that we're doing that search so we have the right people in place to expand. And I know it did mention it in the summary that was written, but we do plan to have current staff members who are on our team right now, current leadership team members, some of them move over to the new campus so that there is that continuity and that support at the new campus.
Okay. Thank you. And then I'm just Rachel may have to help me figure this out, but I was looking at the executive summary and then the detail. And I'm having a hard time understanding the staffing because it doesn't look like it's increasing and I'm looking on page of the request materials 12 and 14. And I'm just not, is the data right? Or am I missing something?
So the staffing on, is it in there twice?
It duplicated. It looks like. Give me a second. I'll find the.
Just so it's clear on the record, we're going to pull that data for you and make sure it's corrected.
So what do we know? Is there an error in the materials?
There is in the materials.
Yes, there is an error in the materials.
Because the student count doesn't look like it's changing much either. And then while we're waiting,
Is that helpful if I speak to? Oh, okay.
So, answer that one.
Yeah.
hi.
Good morning. Okay, so what happened is when these materials were put together, we didn't notice that the forms duplicated. For the expansion school, which currently is called CASA Academy number 2, because they're looking to open that school in fiscal year 28. They are anticipating a total of 20 staff members for fiscal year 28 and 25 for fiscal year 29. And then I jumped too quickly and I don't have, let me get the enrollment matrix for you. You got it, Rachel? Okay.
And then at the school for enrollment, they're looking at 330 in 28 and 396 in 29.
Okay. And so which came back to my other question, which was you had said you had 3 reading interventionists at your current school. Would you be leveraging those? How much your specialized staff will you be leveraging between both campuses versus having you designated? Thank you.
Yes, very good question. We do plan to use our specialized staff on both campuses at that time. Particularly reading interventionists, I would say probably not our math interventionist at this time, but if the need were there, and we are very responsive to the needs of our campus and the needs of our students. So if the need did arise, then we would hire a math interventionist for that campus as well. But we would intend to use them across both campuses.
Thank you.
Any other questions? Just looking around. And I don't see any hands online. Is that correct? Okay. All right. If there aren't any other questions, do we have a motion?
President Montier. First of all, I want to preface my motion with, there are obvious areas of improvement that you can address. But I want to personally say that looking at your materials, I'm impressed. I appreciate the organic growth of your staff and your school student body. I really like your approach, specifically looking at that social demographic of those two areas. I really like your explicit identification and promotion of hope and breaking generational cycles. That's really difficult. I'm sure everyone here knows that. So while we've addressed both the good and the bad here, you know that. I'm happy to go ahead and make the motion to, let me start from the beginning. I move, based on the information contained in the board materials and presented today, to approve the request to add the new school Casa Academy 2, serving grades K through 8 in Phoenix, and to increase, the enrollment cap from 528 to 924 effective FY 2028 for the contract with Casa Academy.
Okay, we have a motion. Do we have a second?
I'll second that motion.
Wonderful. Can we get a roll call, please?
Vice President Close,
Aye.
Superintendent Designee Miller,
Aye.
Ms. Barr,
Aye.
Dr. Crockett,
Aye.
Ms. Foster,
Aye.
Mr. Ruiz,
Aye.
Mr. Snyder,
Aye.
Mr. Stratton,
Aye.
Mr. Swanson,
Aye.
President Monteith.
Aye. And the presentation was great. And I think that we all can understand the transition of the students in between schools and homes and things like that, which obviously plays an impact. So great job. Congratulations. We're looking forward to seeing you in 28.
Motion passes.
Okay. Let me get to my, sorry. And I too SLAM Arizona presentation by Ashley.
President Monteith and board members, SLAM Arizona Inc. has submitted a school location amendment request to relocate Sam. Let me just start over here too. Okay, to request to relocate SLAM Arizona from Tempe, Arizona to Goodyear. In conjunction with this request, SLAM is requesting to change its grades served from grades 5 to 8 to grades 6 to 12. If approved, this request would be effective for FY 2027. School location and school-specific change in grade requests are generally requests that I can approve as the executive director, and it's included under my authority that you have given me. However, due to the significant move requested from Tempe to Goodyear, combined with the grade level change at the school, this request has been brought to you for board consideration. There is no staff recommendation criteria for this request, and I'm here and available to answer any questions that you may have.
Board members, do we have questions for Ashley? Okay, do we have a representative from the charter? Good morning. Oh, go ahead and turn your mic. There you go. Yes.
Thank you for that. Good morning. My name is Millie Sanchez, and I am the Chief Administrative Officer for the SLAM Network Schools. I'm also a co-founder, and I'm the authorized representative for SLAM Arizona. I am also joined here by one of our board members, Ms. Shelley Murphy, and our principal, Jenna Meacham, who's also the principal of Somerset Skyway, as you may know. Although SLAM Arizona currently operates one school, we are part of a larger SLAM affiliated network, which supports 14 charter schools serving more than 10,000 students across 5 states. Our work is with underserved communities. 93% of our students are minority, 89% economically disadvantaged, 10% of our students have disabilities, and we have 22% across the board are English learners. In 2022, SLAM was recognized by Cognia, our global accrediting agency, as a school system of distinction SLAM was one of only 38 school systems across 9 countries to receive that recognition. According to Cognia, and I quote, SLAM impacts the lives of not just children and families, but of generations. Last year, our SLAM high schools received an $8 million grant from the U.S. Department of Education to expand the high-performing secondary model, the 612 model. We were the highest scoring recipient of only 8 awards nationwide. I share this information because it is evidence of the strength of our model when fully implemented. Granting this amendment request gives SLAM the opportunity to bring that same level of excellence to this community. Over the past 3 years, we have faced significant challenges in our temporary location that has prevented us from growing as planned. We were originally approved as a K-12 charter, as you may recall, and we were growing 1 grade level per year. We first came before this board in 2019, excited to open in the city of Mesa in 2020. And as you know, we were granted by this board an emergency extension for 1 year to open in 2021. I'm sorry, by 2022. We were still stuck by 2022 in the city permitting process. When we lost our site, and just before being forced to surrender our charter, we were able to secure a temporary facility, the one that we're in Tempe, Arizona. The community we serve is highly transient. We have homeless students, and we were expecting new housing to go up in 2021 across the street, which was supposed to be residential dwelling. This was converted to student housing recently due to the proximity to ASU. We're only about 2 miles away. So the entire neighborhood pretty much now has become student housing. As a result, our enrollment has declined over the last 2 years as families are moving out of that area, even as our student achievement has continued to increase. Last year, the middle school had a student growth percentile of 62. In the middle school, our ELA median student growth percentile was 59 in ELA, and in math, it was 71.5, which is optimum growth. SLAM Arizona is in zone 2 for both the combined school and middle school data. This is showing the true impact that we have been making. No matter where students started before they came to SLAM Arizona, this data shows that our team has helped them grow compared to similar students across the state. Because of our small size, unfortunately, we are unable to offer the full extent of our program, which is infusing sports into the curriculum. We're not able to offer the fields, the sports program, the extracurriculars, and the career pathways that define the SLAM model, further impacting that enrollment as families have left because we don't have the sports teams in the past 2 years. Despite these challenges, we have spent the past 2 years financially supporting the program and searching for a permanent home because we are committed to serving Arizona students. The location change we are requesting today is not a last resort. It is a strategic solution. It allows us to serve the target population of underserved students in Goodyear while operating a financially sound and academically growing program. SLAM and Somerset have a long history of successful partnerships, both in Florida and Texas. SLAM provides the middle and high school program for the elementary feeders there for Somerset. By relocating to Goodyear, we will be able to build our own permanent facility at this site, expand the grade levels, and provide families with a secondary program they currently do not have. It is unique, and Somerset does not have a feeder high school. Being in this community also enhances our existing partnerships currently with NASCAR, where literally they would be down the street, and also the Arizona Cardinals, giving students access to unique hands-on experiences and career pathways in the sports industry, something that is core to our model. This move allows us to bring value to the Goodyear community just as we have in the communities we currently serve. SLAM Arizona has an active grant, and we can provide the resources needed to support the program, including the continued staffing, training, and professional development. The current Somerset principal, as I mentioned, Ms. Beecham, serves as the principal currently for SLAM to ensure a seamless transition. Ms. Shelley Murphy, also a member on both the Somerset and SLAM boards, will continue to guide that work if approved. We have the resources, we have the human capital, but most importantly, we have a commitment to make generational impact for the students of Arizona. And today we are requesting your approval to keep moving forward. I welcome your questions and thank you for your consideration.
Thank you. Board members, questions? Yeah. Oh, turn your mic on.
Thank you. Thank you for your presentation. I'm a little bit hazy on, and maybe you can clarify this. You talked about the national effect of SLAM in terms of its student progress and numbers and population, et cetera. But I didn't hear quite as much about the students you're serving currently and how they will be impacted.
So to give you background, so the growth scores that I was referring to were the current school. And just to give the board background, because it's a little bit tricky kind of amendment, we actually had to do previously and approve, we had an amendment decrease in grades that was approved last summer. So we applied for the location change. Our board decided to kind of make this move back in May and June. In June, we applied of last year. The board meeting, I believe, was deferred till July, and that was too close to the opening of schools. And so we basically removed the amendment request and to be able to open and give time. But at the time that we submitted the request, part of the criteria to submit that amendment request is to notify families and survey families. So we had been having these discussions with the existing families at the time. We worked with those families, obviously, by announcing that there would be a potential move. We had already had dwindling enrollment. So we worked with those families to help them find nearby neighborhood schools. So currently, right now, when we received notice from staff that we were not going to be heard over the summer, one of the criteria is that you must remain open. At that point, we had already given up our lease. We are currently in a school. It's a school owned by Maricopa County, and it is an academy that came back. So they leased the property to another school. So when we found out that we had to remain open, we contacted the families that had not withdrawn and gave them the opportunity. However, we could only lease 2 classrooms at that point because we had turned over our lease. So that was kind of the situation over the summer. So we only have 6, currently right now, we're only serving 6 students because the families that did not want it, there were only a couple of families that considered taking the commute. Of the 6 students that we serve, those families actually are from the neighborhood. It's actually 4 families because 3 of them are siblings. They are really, we're looking for kind of like that home micro school. And that is why currently right now they know the situation and they're in this program, but they basically want that small micro school programming. And that is why those families that are currently with us, those 6 families or those 6 students, we have 2 teachers that are serving the 6 students. So obviously we're funding that to make sure that they are progressing. But like I said, those families have communicated they're not going to go, they wouldn't make the progression or the move because really what they want is more like a homeschool, which is what they're getting right now.
Thank you.
I hope that clarifies.
Thank you.
So we're really, and the other option, like I said, we've offered those families the option, depending on our enrollment, which would be, we're projecting about 80 students for the future campus. We've offered those families, under the law, we can offer them a virtual option if it's 20% of our enrollment. But again, they're looking for that, and that's why they stayed with us for this year.
Thank you.
And Mr. Ruiz, you have your hand up?
Yes, thank you, President Montier. So since you're part of a national chain, is there anybody there that can speak to or present some data on the performance of the other schools that follow your model that are, I understand the situation that you have here, but I'd like to see, the success outside of this one particular school that you have.
Yes. So I mean, I can share with you the report. I could go over it. The reason that we received the $8 million expansion grant, it's an expansion of high performing programs. And that is specifically what the program is, the 612 model. The schools, our schools in Florida have been high performing for several years. Our SLAM Academy, that's a 612 program, which is the original model, has been a high performing A school for more than 5 years now. It is graduating 100% of its students out of high school, and we have a 97% college acceptance rate. The middle school in Kissimmee, Osceola, also 6-time high-performing middle school in Osceola County. And if you're familiar, Osceola County, Kissimmee was very Hispanic minority, very underserved neighborhood. I can give you the data. I mean, I can pull it up. I have it here from the stats of where our schools are. Our program in Nevada is a 5-star school. The 612 model in Henderson, Nevada is a 5-star campus as well, which there the rating is by stars. So it's the highest performing model as well.
President Monteith, we pulled the data for their, so we're happy to speak to it as well.
Let's turn your mic on. Yeah,
I keep doing that.
That's okay. That's all right. You can just
I
leave
can
it on your
provide
head.
all of that data because it's in our grant report from last year.
So, Member
It's very
Ruiz,
current.
is that something that you would like to see?
Yeah, it would be, if it can be, if it's able to be presented, or if it just
Sure.
can be read into the
President Monteith, if I
record.
can. It's part of our processes that schools don't present additional data, but we are happy to provide that information to you. We have it right now, so we can speak to it.
Okay, I'd like
So
to
that's
see
what I
that.
was asking. So, Carlos,
Yes.
did you
Yeah,
want? Yes. Okay. He said
I'd like
yes.
to see that.
President Monteith, Member Ruiz. So I looked into what schools SLAM is currently operating. I pulled down letter grades for 2023 through 2025. I only looked because they are looking to go to 612. I only looked at schools serving those grade bands. I didn't look at their elementary models. So in Florida, we found 7 operating schools serving those specific grade levels. For the middle school only schools, they have 2 C's, 1 B, and 1 A, which is the one that Millie just spoke to. In Nevada, the middle school only is rated as a 5-star, which is the highest rating given to a school in Nevada. For their high school only models, in Florida, an A school, a B school, and in Nevada, a 5-star model as well. And then they have 1 school that I found in Florida, combined 612, which is rated as a B school. It's also important to note that it is noticeable that since 2023, their performance at every school except 1 has improved. And the school that Millie spoke about is it Osceola?
In Osceola, yes.
It has been A rated for at least the last 3 years. That's as far back as I went.
And the B that you mentioned just got an A this year because you have last year's data. So
Those are 2025 scores from Florida's website.
the book is a B, an A, but that's okay.
No.
So does that answer your question, Member?
Yes.
Okay,
Yep,
great.
that's good. Thank you.
And I want to point out that these are, again, all of those schools are Title I with the exception of 1. So they're not in specific areas where they are the same, similar demographics to what we are speaking about.
Do you want? Okay, go ahead. Yeah, no, go ahead. Go ahead.
It's a lane change from academics if you want to go first.
Nope.
Okay. All right. Good morning. Nice to see you. Thank you so much for being here. And your commitment. It's kind of a unique request. So thank you for working through our questions. You may have to help me understand with the federal backing, like the more corporate system, how that supports you individually. But I noticed that the available reserve was like 7.8 days on your financial dashboard here in Arizona. So I don't know if you could speak to that, the reserve balance.
So
and how that maybe you're getting another source of funding for this move.
Yeah, and so basically, obviously, with the enrollment at 6 students, it's obviously challenging on the financial, and that's what I mean. In terms of our structure, I'm also the founder and chief administrative officer of SLAM Foundation. So the foundation is a 501c3 to support our SLAM model and our programs. So from a financial standpoint, what we do is make sure, for example, once we go in, like we did in Arizona, and I said this is a commitment when I came here in 2019, we're not going to give up on a school. And we know that startup usually in every state is different, but it takes that time to invest. So we invest in the teachers and in the program. So SLAM Foundation has been providing the grants and the recoverable grants and support for this school to make sure that we have the teachers, to make sure that they have the resources. So that is why, obviously, so on our financial, we just went through an audit. So basically, we're backing, the school financially until we can obviously. That is why the goal to move is to be able to have the adequate resources. One of the issues at that campus actually is that our rent is very, very high. And unfortunately, we're tied to that. We're paying in excess of $10,000 for 2 classrooms. So it's kind of the math doesn't add up. And that is where we're, like I said, we've been financially supporting and backing the school. But at year 3, this is where our board kind of made a decision like in this area, we're not going to grow by students just simply because of the ASU situation. So we're not going to be able to build either. That was been the other issue. So yes, financially, the foundation is committed to supporting the school. We don't want to shut it down. And the staff knows that because we've been working very hard and making sure. And like I said, because this model works, we've proven it works. We're doing, and on the academic support, what we do is, and I have some staff here, Fiorella Liddy works for the foundation. She's basically here every 2 weeks. So what we do is we provide that support for the teachers, the administrators. So the school may not have curriculum coaches, we're the curriculum coaches. We make sure that they're getting, so we have Zooms with the teachers, we have Zooms with the principals, and we come in and we provide the PDs, besides the PDs that the state grant team, works with us on. But a lot of the curriculum that we're using in this school is the same curriculum that we use in our other campuses. So I leverage our foundation staff, our directors and coaches and educators. I'm a former teacher and principal. That's who we have on our staff. And our goal is not to be top heavy. Our goal is to go into the schools and help support them. So that's how we've been helping the school to grow despite the enrollment and the challenges there. And that's what we would continue to do at this campus.
Thank you. Thank you for speaking to that.
I have a couple questions. I'm going to try to make sure I can articulate them. So I guess my first question is going way back. I was not part of the board in 2019 when all of this happened. And I'm not trying to revisit the past or anything, but I'm just curious as to why it was that SLAM chose not to continue with a successful model, chose to go with a K-12. And now we're going to kind of grassroots, like what because that's what I'm understanding. Yeah. So if I'm not understanding it correctly, please clarify, because I just want to make sure I have a good understanding.
That's a great question. Actually, when we opened the first campus in Miami 12 years ago, it was a 6-12 model. Our model was based on these career academy pathways using sports, and it's been very successful. However, what we found is when people started coming from Atlanta to Nevada, that was just a second school, and said, we want this program, we found that when you go out and you go into these other areas, it's very challenging to start with 6th grade. And we all know this, right? They're coming in and that's transition age at any age, just even socially, right? If you have a teenager at home, you know this. So we realized that we kind of made a commitment that we were going to open, if we were going out of state, we were going to start with the elementary and kind of grow our program and our model, what we call the Baby Slam. So we opened that in Atlanta, and actually Nevada has an elementary campus. And a lot of our high schools now, we're working backwards. We're actually opening the elementary feeders. That is what I spoke to the partnership. In some areas where we didn't have it, we partner with Somerset, which is our sister school. So in Texas, we feed their elementary program, but it's the same principle. In Palm Beach, we feed their elementary program, but it's the same principle, so that there's always a seamless program. So we didn't really go away from the model. The goal here, we started with the elementary and we grew each grade. And like I said, our niche is in 6-12, but our goal was to make sure that those students are prepared in the base, in the ELA, and having the foundations to be able to take. So for example, the SLAM model has our students currently in 7th and 8th grade. They can take, in Florida, they're taking college courses at this point, if they can do it. And we have students that are graduating with AA degrees. We've had one student in SLAM Boca, it's federal news, graduated with a BA out of high school, SLAM Boca. And because of that trajectory. So our goal was to, if we start in kindergarten, we can get them there. So it wasn't so much that we've decided to, change our model. We actually, I've only applied an open K-12 when we went out of state. The difference here was that the reason we had to decrease to 5A, because we were K-8 last year, we had to decrease because we applied for the change of location. And then when we were told you have to remain open, because we weren't going to make the July board meeting, we contacted those families. Of the families that said, okay, we'll stay on with you for this year, it was 5th through 8th grade. Does that make sense? So a family, I think someone actually contacted the staff or the state and said, well, we want to come back too, which was in the 2nd grade or And so we only, like I said, we only had 2 classrooms. So the families that stayed were 5-8. And so we were asked to submit an enrollment decrease. So last summer, we submitted enrollment decrease to remove grades K through 4. Now, moving to Somerset, Jenna already has a wonderful model and a feeder program. So our goal is not to really work in that space because those students would be coming. We know it's a high-performing school. She's already been able to do that. So those students would already be coming into the middle school program if they choose the SLAM model with that base. So what we wouldn't want to do is open an elementary on that campus because there's no need to with the partnership, if that makes sense. I hope I clarified.
Yeah, no, that definitely
it's so
helps.
complicated.
Well, and that's why this is not just on a consent agreement, right? And then I guess the other question I had at the very beginning, I feel like this is, I'm jumping and I apologize. You had mentioned that you weren't able to give the students the SLAM model the way that you want it, the way that it's written, basically with the sports and all of that stuff because of the area, because you weren't able to build, et cetera, et cetera. So I feel like you touched on it and you said, yes, we can grow and we can build, but I want to know what that looks like and how it pertains to specifically SLAM because it is a very niche program, right?
Yes.
So it needs very niche resources as well. So how is that going to look?
Well, to touch on that, we've been working on this since last summer, like I said, because we had to notify the families and we were trying to make that move as soon as possible. So in that process, Ms. Meacham has been speaking to the families, her families in particular, were very excited about having, particularly because of the culture there, not having to leave and go to ninth grade somewhere else. So they were excited about having, the option of having this ninth grade program. So I want to say for your campus, they were sold on the idea. Yeah. The campus there has fields, has programs. I mean, it's an easy way. They have enough students for us to be able to join the teams and create the teams. So that's kind of what we've done in the other 2 campuses where we co-locate. So for us, this wasn't a very simple process. In terms of the academies, like I said, we're under a state grant still here. And so we have a STEM program, which she does as well. But for the elective courses, it would be a wheel. What we usually do in the middle school is a wheel where students get to exposure to marketing. We have a SLAM radio program. If you're not aware, we have a national XM radio station. So that's nationwide. Sirius XM, it's SLAM radio, run by students, high school students out of the Miami campus. But that is accessible to all our campuses. So that's something we would bring here. Very easy also to implement because it's radio. But students would be able to, that would be their elective courses. And then we have this partnership down the street. Again, that happened after, the partnership happened after we opened in Mesa. But we have a partnership with NASCAR. And we have it when they do Miami, we do the Homestead race. The students go and they are mini journalists for those events. They participate. So we do a lot of work with them. Those programs we're easily able to implement. So the model would start right away. In terms of growth, like I said, we're reaching out to the entire community. But I want to say that this is a particular campus where we've seen these trends across the state and across the nation where enrollment is dwindling, right? And parents are choosing the at-home option to a certain extent. She's been able to grow her campus in that process. And so we know that the demand is there. And we are also realistic. We want to be conservative about that growth. And that's why you'll see the staffing and the growth plan is really only growing up to 80 students, counting already the students that are interested in the program. So our goal is to grow very, very moderately. And then eventually, like I said, there is room on that campus. Right now, we would just be in the classrooms on the second floor. But there is room on that campus and their landlord is really excited and open for us to be able to build a facility. So the goal for the secondary full program would be a separate standalone building next door. And you would have kind of the programs like we have in our other campuses. That expansion grant has allowed us to build phase 2, which is those buildings to separate.
That helps me visualize a little bit more. I got it, but I wanted to see where you were going because sometimes I'm not always on the same page with other people. So any other questions, board members? Yes.
Thank you. This is more a question for staff because when I first read this read to me like a new school that perhaps should be going through a full review process as a new charter. After hearing the presentation, I'm not quite as sure I feel that way. And I want to make sure that there's a through line in our processes that this truly is consistent with a location and a grade change amendment for a application that was made in 2019. So is the school that's being proposed here in terms of grades and program consistent with the 2019 application? Or is there a deviation from it from that application and what they're trying to do now?
In 2019, I also was not here during that time. But yeah, Rachel was. But in 2019, when this was approved, it's my understanding that it was approved as a K-12. And they, in any school, any charter that we have, we look at that contract level as like the starting point, and then what they do within that contract, they're able to do, right? So that's why I have the authority to approve changes in school-specific change in grades and also school location, right? It's like anything that's within the confines of that contract, they have the flexibility to maneuver. So it's my understanding that the change that they're looking to do is within their bounds of their contract. The program is not changing significantly, and neither are they looking to change grade levels in a way that would change their contract. But why this was placed on the agenda is because there is such a deviation from what they are currently operating today.
Thank you.
And what I mean by that is location and the students they'll be serving.
Any other questions? Nope. Okay, then do we have a motion?
I'll make the motion.
All right.
Make sure I'm on the right one. I move, based on the information contained in the board materials and presented today, to approve the request to move the location of SLAM Arizona to Goodyear and to change the grades served at the school from grades 5 through 8 to grades 6 through 12, effective fiscal year 2027 for the contract with SLAM Arizona, Inc.
We have, oh, lovely.
Sorry.
All right, we have a second. Roll call, please.
Vice President Close,
Aye.
Superintendent Designee Miller,
Aye.
Ms. Barr,
Aye.
Dr. Crockett,
Aye.
Ms. Foster.
Before I say aye, I looked at some of the other programs, and I think where you're going with this will be a great value to that area. And with that, I wish you much success, and aye.
Thank you. Mr. Ruiz,
Aye.
Mr. Snyder,
I'm an aye, and I'd like just to say, I think I did have concerns about the dramatic change from what you've been doing and where you're going, and the time from which we originally, or that is we, the board, made this approval. But I do recognize that it is a unique program, and I think the scale is manageable enough that I think it's worthy of proceeding. So with that, I vote aye.
Mr. Stratton,
Aye.
Mr. Swanson,
And I think I was here.
We all forgot.
And I think you guys need to get a chance to get this thing going. So I vote aye.
Thank you.
President Monteith.
I agree with everybody else. I'm looking forward to seeing you be able to do what you set out to do. So I have an aye as well.
Motion passes.
Wonderful. Congratulations.
Thank you so much. And I want to extend an invitation if you're traveling the country and find yourself in Florida, Georgia, Texas, or Nevada, please reach out through staff, and we'd love for you to come visit and see what the future will bring here, because we are committed and we will get it done. So thank you.
Fantastic. Congratulations.
Thank you.
All right. And we are moving on to compliance matters and oh, hold on. Now I have to get my packet. J1, our presentation is by Andrea. Where'd she go? Oh, there she is. Hi, Andrea.
Good morning. President Monteith, members of the board, City Center for Collaborative Learning has been placed on today's agenda for the board to determine whether the fingerprinting information voluntarily self-reported by the charter holder would be considered a material failure by the charter to comply with the terms and conditions of its 2021 fingerprinting consent agreement with the board. Unlike the board's more recent agreements, which may offer greater flexibility to charter holders and board staff, This agreement requires that all instances of noncompliance be brought to the board for consideration. Through the consent agreement, City Center agreed to ensure that the personnel at its schools have been properly fingerprinted and that fingerprinting requirements are maintained. The consent agreement specifies several terms and conditions used to monitor the charter holder's adherence to statutory fingerprinting requirements. These include annually providing to the board a list of the charter holder's personnel, and when personnel changes occur, providing an updated list to the board within 5 business days of the change. In late September 2025, the charter representative contacted board staff. During this conversation, the charter representative indicated the charter holder had identified a violation of its consent agreement. Specifically, 2 employees onboarded in August 2025 had not been included as required on the personnel list provided to the board. Further, 1 of the 2 employees did not have a valid fingerprint clearance card at the time of hire. The charter holder's written communication to the board was included in the meeting materials. Today, the board must determine whether the fingerprinting information voluntarily self-reported by City Center would be considered a material failure by the charter holder to comply with the consent agreement's terms and conditions. The charter holder has been in communication with board staff throughout the term of the consent agreement. Beginning in or around calendar year 2024, the charter holder began sending the personnel list to the board on a weekly basis, regardless of whether personnel changes had occurred. Up until the issue identified for consideration today, the charter holder has maintained compliance with the consent agreement, which has been in effect for 4.5 years, and no concerns have been identified. I'm available for questions.
Board members, do we have any questions? Do we have a representative from the charter online?
Yes, hi there. Director Burke, Superintendent Horn, and honorable members of the Arizona State Board of Charter Schools. Thank you all for your immense and ongoing dedication to the students, teachers, and families of our great state. My name is Chad Blair, and I'm the Executive Director of City Center for Collaborative Learning in Tucson. We are an intentionally small LEA, serving 3 small schools and a professional learning center. I am proud to have worked for this organization as a teacher, assistant principal, and executive director since 2006. In April, City Center had the privilege of celebrating the 20th anniversary of our schools. It was a joyous occasion and attracted former teachers, alumni, and community partners from across the country. As Ms. Leader shared with you in the spring of 2021, ASBCS placed City Center on a fingerprint consent agreement. Since then, without fail, City Center has checked the validity of the IVP fingerprint clearance cards of every one of our school personnel and submitted any changes to our staff to ASBCS every week in full compliance of the agreement. In September, I phoned Ms. Leader to self-report to ASBCS our internal findings regarding fingerprinting. City Center onboarded 2 new employees on August 25th, 2025. Unfortunately, due to an administrative error, neither employee was placed in the September 1st, 2025 employee report to ASBCS. More importantly, one of the employees, who had been hired from out of state, did not yet have her AZ application for an IVP fingerprint clearance card approved. As soon as we identified this issue, we immediately assigned the employee to work remotely until her application was completed and she had a valid IVP fingerprint clearance card. AZ Arizona issued her a valid IVP fingerprint clearance card on September 19th, and she returned to work on September 22nd. The other employee had a valid fingerprint clearance card when he was hired. Our own regular reviews of the staffing documents identified this oversight. Due to a staffing transition in the HR and finance department, our full protocol for staff onboarding had not been followed. We completed a full internal audit and did not identify any other missing or incorrect staff information. The board of directors collaborated with the leadership team to develop a more comprehensive process for cross-checking all onboarding and documentation processes to create additional redundancies before any work agreement can be issued, so that any future staffing shortages or leadership transitions do not adversely impact our compliance responsibilities. I'd like to share a little bit about our organization. City High School in downtown Tucson serves a diverse student body. Students engage in rigorous academics with an emphasis on Arizona cultures and resources, using place-based learning, competency-based learning, and arts integration. City High regularly places over 90% of students, many of whom are first generation, into state and national colleges and universities, including the Ivy League. City High received the highest score of any school in Tucson on the Educational Equity Index, which measures how well students from low-income families are achieving in schools. The Palo Verde Freedom Schools are also intentionally small schools where students are fully seen and valued for who they are, where students are taught the 21st century skills of collaboration, creativity, critical thinking, communication, and media and technology literacy. Palo Verde Freedom Schools have expeditionary learning and project-based learning as the center of their curriculum. Palo Verde Freedom School has also been recognized as an Arizona Civic Engagement School of Excellence. Additionally, City Center's Professional Development Center has provided free and low-cost workshops to charter school teachers, district teachers, and community members in trauma-informed practices, project-based learning, PBIS, community share, supporting homeless youth, creating advisory programs, building PLCs, arts integration, EdCamp, and so much more. Our organization is doing a lot of really great things. Our seniors all have internships. We have a dual enrollment program. We are fully inclusive, and we provide our staff with professional development and best practices such as universal design for learning, project-based learning, and literacy integration. Our portrait of a graduate is a roadmap to personal, community, and academic success. Our students participate in democratic practices, mentor each other, and celebrate their learning throughout the year. We regularly partner with community members and organizations to provide rigorous, authentic, and meaningful inquiry-based learning opportunities so our students become problem solvers and leaders. Our students and families report very high levels of satisfaction, happiness, wellness, and belonging. Our teachers have won Teacher of the Month awards and been nominated for Teacher of the Year. Our students have won SARSEF prizes, Tucson Lumies for the Arts, State Philanthropy Awards, Leadership and Entrepreneurial Awards, art contests, journalism awards from NPR and the Arizona Interscholastic Press Association, and podcast and radio stories awards from the New York Times, including Best Radio Story in the Nation. Collectively, our students have also been awarded over $2 million in college scholarships and aid. All of these are extraordinary achievements from our very small public charter schools. I could say with confidence that City Center for Collaborative Learning is serving our students, our families, and our community very well. We take the fingerprint clearance card process very seriously and believe our demonstrated history, along with our intervention and corrective action plan, will eliminate any future issues. For the past 5 years, none of our audits have reported any fingerprint clearance card compliance concerns. Additionally, a recent November 2025 ASBCS site visit compliance check reviewed City Center's fingerprint records and reported full compliance and no follow-up action required. City Center has successfully complied with every element of the consent agreement for 4.5 years. We ask ASBCS to take into consideration our internal controls, our prompt action, and our decision to self-report. Thank you all very much for your time today.
Thank you so much. Do we have any questions from the board? No. I would just like to say that I really appreciate the fact that you took it upon yourself to report an error that you've already gone through and put yourself on a corrective action plan at your location and have gone through the processes to rectify the situation before any of us even knew what was going on. So I commend you on that. That takes a lot to self-report. So thank you very much for that. If we don't have any questions, then do we have a motion?
Are you going to do it? Or
All right. Member Swanson.
I move to find that City Center for Collaborative Learning's failure to provide complete fingerprinting information to the board as required by its 2021 fingerprinting consent agreement and as self-reported is de minimis and does not constitute a material breach of the 2021 consent agreement. However, in an effort to ensure that the charter holder stays in compliance, the board directs staff to conduct in fiscal year 2027 an unannounced site visit to each of the charter holders' schools to review the charter holders' documentation for compliance within fingerprinting requirements.
We have a motion. Do we have a second?
I'll second.
All right. Can we get a roll call, please?
Vice President Close,
Aye.
Superintendent Designee Miller,
Aye.
Miss Barr,
Aye.
Dr. Crockett,
Aye.
Miss Foster,
I too commend you guys for its self-reporting and I.
Mr. Ruiz,
Aye.
Mr. Snyder,
Aye.
Mr. Stratton,
Aye. Aye.
Mr. Swanson.
And I just want to say that if anyone's seen me in this board, I get particularly irritated by the fingerprint things. And I do appreciate the self-reporting and the diligence and the care and the concern with which you treated this situation. Aye.
President Monteith.
Aye.
Motion passes.
Congratulations.
Thank you all very much.
Great job. Thank you so much. And we are on compliance matter J2. Andrea again.
President Monteith, members of the board, state law requires charter schools to annually submit a financial audit and compliance questionnaire. Since November 15th, then on a Saturday this year, charters had until the following Monday to submit their financial statement audits. More than 98% of the fiscal year 2025 audits due in November were timely submitted to the board. The 3 remaining charter holders identified under this agenda item still have not submitted their audits. Today, the board may vote to withhold up to 10% of the charter holder's monthly state aid apportionment until a complete fiscal year 2025 audit is submitted to the board. If the board decides to withhold funds, the withholding would begin with the charter holder's December 19th payment unless the board receives a complete audit by noon on December 10th. For a complete audit submitted after that timeframe, the withheld funds would be returned with the charter holder's next regularly scheduled payment. Pursuant to state law, the charter school must be allowed to address the board before the board makes a final determination on whether to withhold funds. Therefore, each of the charter holders should be considered separately. I'm available for questions.
Yeah.
Thank you, Andrea. Just to confirm, the item 4 under that Blue Adobe project has since submitted their audit. Is that why?
That is correct.
Okay, thank you.
Do we have any other questions for Andrea? Okay, oh, yes.
Just a real quick procedural question. So, well, no, never mind. I know what it. Answer my own question.
Question redacted. Okay. Do we have a representative from Academy of Tucson? This is that wait time that we do in a classroom. Nobody online? Do I need to speak up? There's a phone number with a 520 area code online. Is that someone from Academy of Tucson? And if so, could you please unmute yourself? Yes.
Hello.
Oh,
Can you hear
yay.
me?
Okay, great. Hi.
Okay. Hello. I'm sorry. We have had lots of technical difficulties this morning. My name is Wendy Allardyce from Academy of Tucson. I am the superintendent and the charter representative. And with me is Paige Lincoln, my business manager.
Welcome. We're glad you're able to join us. Would you like to speak to the compliance matter, the late audit?
Yes.
Great.
We actually have an audit already scheduled starting on October 21st. Near completion, we realized we were going to have a disagreement. So in going through that process, it was in our best interest to find a different auditor. And we were able to secure a different auditor. However, that puts us really close to the compliance deadline. Our new auditor did submit the letter on November 18th. So we do have a new engagement letter and audit in process. And we are expecting that to be completed by the end of the month.
Just to clarify, the end of December, is that correct?
Correct.
Okay.
Our previous auditor was able to give them some of the same documents. However, we had to also provide our new auditor with all the extensive documentation for our audit. But because our audit was started at such a late date, it put us in a position to not be able to submit our audit compliantly.
Okay. Do we have questions from the board? No, online at all? No? Okay. Do we have a motion?
Okay. I move to find that Academy of Tucson is not in compliance with state law and the charter contract due to their failure to timely submit the fiscal year 2025 annual financial audit, and to approve withholding 10% of the charter holder's monthly state aid apportionment until a complete fiscal year 2025 annual financial audit is submitted to the board.
We have a motion. Do we have a second?
Second.
Can we get a roll call, please?
Vice President Close,
Aye.
Superintendent Designee Miller,
I'd like just a moment to explain my vote. I'm going to vote no. My understanding is that this disagreement is sourced in a revenue source. So I actually would like to suggest that any auditor who would not honor their engagement based on disagreement of personal opinion should be removed from our state charter board list of recommended auditors. So I vote no. I don't feel that this is the school's responsibility.
Ms. Barr,
That certainly threw me for a loop. I'm going to go ahead and vote aye in this matter. I do think that perhaps looking into if we have suggested auditors, that could be a consideration. I don't know who puts those on a list. I didn't know we had a list. But I think just, yeah, I'm going to go ahead and vote aye. Sorry.
Dr. Crockett,
I'm going to vote no, based on the comments by the previous person who voted.
Ms. Foster,
Yeah, that threw me for a loop a little bit too, but I am going to continue with voting aye. And yeah, voting aye.
Mr. Ruiz,
Aye.
Mr. Snyder,
Aye.
Mr. Stratton,
Under these circumstances, I too will vote no.
Mr. Swanson,
Very interesting. I actually had sort of a different opinion that as a CPA, former CPA, not licensed anymore, but that it sounded a little bit like opinion shopping to me, that if their auditor had a particular position and then they fired them to go do something else, I'd actually like to hear what the new auditor has to say about that. So I vote yes.
President Monteith.
I vote aye.
Motion passes.
Okay. Okay, I'm going to need some help again. Say it one more time. Akmel Odom. Did I get that correct? I don't want to be disrespectful, so I apologize if I'm trying to pronounce the name of the school correctly. So
Little commentary on that.
Yes.
So the reason that this is necessary, but the tribe uses that name as the proper name is Pima, is actually derived from from Altan language or Pimyach, which was when the Spaniards arrived and they said, "Who are you?" And we said, "What the hell are you saying? I don't know what you're saying, Pimyach." So it's better than what you're saying is better than what the hell are you saying?
Okay. Well, I definitely won't say that. And I like the history. I feel like I learned something every time I come here. Okay, so and these charters need to be, we need to speak to each separately, correct? Like motion separately even though they have the same name because they have separate identity numbers.
Yes, they can be considered at the same time because I do believe the issues are the same, but
Okay.
we do need separate motions.
Okay. Just want to make sure that we clarified that for everybody. Okay, good. Then that means I only have to say this once, or butcher it once. I apologize. Okay. Akmel Odom P. Posh Charter School, Inc., entity number 5978. Do we have a representative from both charters, but we'll address 5978 first? Yes, come on up. And I am so sorry if I butchered it. I really promise you I did not mean to.
No worries. It's a hard one. Acamil Otham Peeposh Charter. And yes, it comes from the Peeposh and Maricopa groups together, who we represent out on Gila River Indian Reservation. Oh, and my name is Misty Lopez. I am the recently appointed principal as of last week. Also the charter representative now and speaking for the business office. We apologize for our late submission for our fiscal year 25 financial audit. We recognize the lack of internal controls and have developed a corrective plan to rectify the situation. We have contracted CW Payne, a CPA, to correctly update our accounts and assist in the audit. He will be overseeing the business office until we hire a new business manager. And with his assistance, we are cross-training our payroll specialist and accounts payable clerk to check for internal checks, balances, including mandatory secondary review process for all items related to grant entries, monthly reconciliations, and mandatory software training. The schools acknowledge the severity of our tardiness, and we are committed to implementing these corrective actions immediately to ensure the integrity of future financial statements. Our auditor, Dan Johnson of Advisant, emailed me yesterday with drafts of our 2025 audit, and the final copies will be done and submitted by Friday, he assured us. If you look at our standings since 1999, I know you have the last 5 years in front of you. We have not submitted a late audit ever. This is a very difficult experience for us to be going through, and we will make sure it does not happen again. Do you have any questions?
So just so I'm clear, we can ask questions for both, but then we just make motions separately. Is that correct?
That is correct.
Fantastic. So do we have any questions for the charters?
Did I hear you say your chart or your audit will be ready by the end of the week?
Yes.
Okay.
The rough draft is ready now.
And Andrea, you said that if it's submitted before the state payment date on December 10th, it won't matter.
Correct.
Okay.
No
They'll still
funds
get the
would be
full payment.
withheld. Yes.
Okay, thank you.
Any other questions? No? Okay, so do we have a motion for entity number 5978? Okay.
I move to find that Akmar Autham Peeposh Charter School, Inc., entity ID 5978, is not in compliance with state law and the charter contract due to their failure to timely submit the fiscal year 2025 annual financial audit and to approve withholding 10% of the charter holder's monthly state aid apportionment until a complete fiscal year 2025 annual financial audit is submitted to the board.
Motion's been made. Do we have a second?
Second.
Okay, may we get a roll call, please?
Vice President Close,
Aye.
Superintendent Designee Miller,
Aye.
Ms. Barr,
Aye.
Dr. Crockett,
Aye.
Ms. Foster,
Aye.
Mr. Ruiz,
Aye.
Mr. Snyder,
Aye.
Mr. Stratton,
Aye.
Mr. Swanson,
Aye.
President Monteith.
Aye.
Motion passes.
Okay. And do we have a motion for entity ID 78966?
Yes, you do. I move to find that Akmara Autumn Pipash Charter School, Inc., entity ID 78966 is not in compliance with state law and the charter contract due to their failure to timely submit the fiscal year 2025 annual financial audit and to approve withholding 10% of the charter holder's monthly state aid apportionment until a complete fiscal year 2025 annual financial audit is submitted to the board.
Motion's been made. Do we have a second?
Second.
Dr. Crockett again, and roll call, please.
Vice President Close,
Aye.
Superintendent Designee Miller,
Aye.
Ms. Barr,
Fingers crossed for Friday for you. But I vote aye.
Dr. Crockett,
Aye.
Ms. Foster,
Aye.
Mr. Ruiz,
Aye.
Mr. Snyder,
Aye.
Mr. Stratton,
Aye.
Mr. Swanson,
Aye.
President Monteith.
My fingers are crossed as well. Aye. Best of luck for you.
Motion passes.
I have the highest confidence that you'll make it. This is just a matter of course.
Yeah. Yeah. Thank you. Okay, and now we are on to agenda item K, summary of current events, future meeting dates, and items for future agendas.
I have nothing to report other than our next board meeting is scheduled for January 13th.
Okay. Well, with that, then we are adjourned. Thank you, everybody, so much. I hope you have a great holiday season.
Happy holidays. Bye, guys. Stay safe.
Merry Christmas, everyone. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.